Hello, everyone. It's Shane Conto, your Wasteland reviewer, and welcome to Wasteland Talks, my weekly talk show where I talk about whatever the hell I want. And 'tis the season because it is indeed my breakdown episode of Oscar picks for 2025 films. This is the 98th Academy Awards, which is kind of crazy. And joining me
Big crazy.
is, yep, is Academy Award guru, Heath Lynch.
Yay. Thanks. I'm a guru officially. No, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, Shane.
Absolutely. And I know there are very few people that I know that care about the Oscars this much. So it's always a pleasure having you on for this. So
Yeah, I care about this more than I should. It affects my health, my mental health.
I feel like I've only gotten like legitimately upset a couple of times watching the Oscars. But it can be entertaining sometimes,
Yeah.
people getting randomly slapped in the middle of live broadcasts and
Yeah,
dumb
that's
stuff
great
like
stuff.
that. Um, I highly doubt we'll get
People reading the
anything.
wrong, not the wrong winner. That was a fun one. Last year, honestly, last year was probably the closest I've gotten to a real meltdown in a long time with all the Amelia Perez nominations. And
Yep.
thank God most of them ended up going nowhere,
Yep.
because there was an alternate timeline where I would be very angry. Let's just leave it
What
at that.
What's funny is I'll occasionally go back and watch that clip of Conan and Adam Sandler doing that bit.
Yep.
It's like it makes me laugh every time. And Adam Sandler been nominated this year, but hopefully he'll come back and do another skit like that because love the Sandman. But we're here to talk about the actual nominees and the awards. And what we'll do is we're going to go through and make our picks for what we think should win based off of what the Academy came up with for their nominees. So, brought to you officially by Oscar.org. I'm going to be going through here. We're going from screenwriting up their website and wrapping up with Best Picture, as it always should, looking at you, the Academy Awards
Looking at
from
you, Soderbergh.
Soderbergh. It's like, don't get too cute with this. You might put your foot in your mouth, which they certainly did. That was a perfect storm of awkwardness,
Yep.
especially because it was Joaquin Phoenix giving
Yeah.
out that award.
Who really doesn't want to talk in public and is like, and the winner is good night, everyone.
Goodbye. And Questlove is just like, see you people. Are
Yep.
playing off. But let's get started with writing original screenplay. So we have our nominees. It was just an accident. Marty Supreme, Sentimental Value, and Sinners. So, Heath, what are some general feelings about this category and who do you pick?
To be clear, who do I pick to win? Who do I want to win? What order? Do you have a preferred order in which I ramble off here?
I guess the main thing is pick who you want to win out of this group and then throw in general thoughts otherwise.
So who I want to win is actually a tie. I would love and be genuinely completely content with either Sinners or Marty Supreme winning. If either of those won, I would be happy. So much that I don't care. You could literally flip a coin and I'll just be jazzed at the result, regardless if it was either of those two. Who I think is going to win though is I think they're going to give this to Ryan Coogler. I think this is Sinners W right here, because as we'll figure out on later categories, I don't know if they're going to give Coogler, at least my prediction is I don't know if they're going to give Coogler his dues. So this is kind of their spot to award him, would be my estimation.
So you're saying a black filmmaker with a horror film with a lot of social commentary is going to win original screenplay?
I think that might be the case. I feel like we've done this before. Yeah.
So I
At
honestly,
least it's not a black filmmaker winning a screenplay award because they were beaten out by a film about white people driving around black people, because that's happened multiple times and that's way worse.
I was going to make a bad joke. The big movie this year happens to have a little bit of, a Latino man driving around a white dude.
Yeah. Oh God.
Obviously, that's a much smaller part of one battle after another.
Yep.
Just throwing that out there. But I what's interesting about this category is this is an easy one for pretty easy one for me to pick, and that's Sinners. I really do
Yeah.
think that Ryan Coogler deserves this because honestly, my two other screenplays that I was hoping would get on in this particular category didn't. So,
Oh
because
yeah.
I thought this would have been really nice for Sorry Baby and Weapons to get
And
some kind
I
of
would have
love.
I although the Oscars doesn't count this as original because of a stupid reason. This is where I would have Wake Up Dead Man. If they want to get
Oh, we'll
technical,
get to that in a second.
yeah, I know. If you want to get
Yes.
technical on Benoit Blanc exists as a character, then I guess it's adapted. But everything about that screenplay is original. And yeah, I agree. The only in my personal Oscar picks, the only carryovers I have are Marty Supreme and Sinners as nominations. Weapons and Sorry Baby absolutely deserve to be here. I'm okay with it was just an accident being here, although I think that
Yeah.
movie was largely in some aspects improvised. So I'm not entirely sure how screenplay is relevant, but I think it is creative in its structure. So I'm good with that nomination. Blue Moon is it makes sense to me. It's not something I would nominate, but I see why it's there. Like it's
Yeah.
such a dialogue heavy. It's not full on Sorkin, but it's like in that vein, so you get it. And sentimental value is just like the classic dramatic character study, relationship study that it just makes sense that something like that would be here. But
I was
again,
surprised.
not
I was
my
surprised to find out Blue Moon wasn't an adapted from something. To be perfectly honest,
yeah.
but
It feels like it. It feels like it's a play.
yep. So, but I would love to see Sinners. I think Sinners is going to get this. Sinners would certainly be my pick, and I think this is the big award that Sinners is probably going to get
I agree.
at the Academy Award. I don't know about you. I'm a little disappointed with the writing adapted screenplay section. Like, I'm not like
Preach.
wowed by many of these because most of these films, I don't think it's the screenplay that's what makes
Sells it.
this really special. So we
Mm-hmm.
have Begonia, we have Frankenstein, we have Hamnet, we have One Battle After Another, and we have Train Dreams. And Heath, what are you going with?
This one I don't think it's close. This my pick that I think is going to win, my pick that I want to win, my pick that if I had it my way would win is One Battle After Another. And
Yep.
it's not even these aren't even in the same league. It's One Battle After Another. And then what's the Moneyball quote? A mile of shit, like, and then there's the rest. There's us, like that's the delineation here.
I think it's so interesting how lopsided this year's writing is. Like,
Yes,
the original was much stronger year for screenplays, but no, my pick's Paul Thomas Anderson too with One Battle After Another, and I don't
absolutely.
even think this one's close, to be
No, it's not.
perfectly honest.
This isn't
I
like the slam dunk category of the year. There's a best actress race we'll get to that is
or
probably
the next category we're talk
yeah,
about, to be
yeah. There's
perfectly
a couple
honest.
others that are very locked, but this is also, in my opinion, one of the locked categories this year.
Yep. So there's that, but Wake Up Dead Man would win for me. If it
Yep.
actually got nominated, but they didn't,
Yep.
which I'm a little surprised that it didn't, seeing as the other two did.
Well, yeah, especially, and again, I am one of the defenders of Glass Onion. I thought Glass Onion is really good. Is it as good as Knives Out? No, I don't think it's as good as Knives Out, but I still think it's very good. And I thought this was even better than Glass Onion. And I thought the script in particular was much more inventive and
Yeah,
creative and introspective and personal and all these things. So it stuns me that that got passed over for something like, and I hate to pick on this movie. I'm going to pick on it a lot. I don't mean to. But Frankenstein doesn't need to be here. It really doesn't. I give it its technical achievements, and we'll get there. Where I'll even
yeah,
say
we
yes,
will.
the technical craft of this movie is exceptional. But the giving above the line kudos to this movie, in my opinion, is a little far fetched. And the screenplay is not remotely what makes Frankenstein a watchable film.
I love it a lot more than you do, but I wouldn't have given it a
Yeah,
screenplay nomination either. Um, I feel like Guillermo del Toro is getting a lot of love for his films nowadays, and I appreciate
yes.
that a lot. And this is getting Nightmare Alley kind of love too, which I was a little surprised that got as much love as
I
it did.
was also I
So
I feel like you and I are kind of in the same vein on Guillermo, which is I love the man, I respect him, I'm going to see everything he makes, but I almost wonder if it's gotten to the point where the Academy loves him so much that whenever he just makes anything, they're gonna give him some kudos, and
he's on
I
Clint
don't know.
status.
Yeah, I don't know if it's fully deserved. Like, not everything needs to be nominated. Sometimes they can just make an okay movie or even a good movie, but it's not an all-time great that deserves to be nominated at the Oscars.
Frankenstein got a lot of nominations, which
Yeah.
I'm a little surprised about.
Yep.
Netflix really went out there and campaigned this year.
Oh, they did.
So lock here because I will be absolutely shocked if this isn't who I think it is. Visual effects. We have Avatar Fire and Ash. We have F1, F1, Jurassic World Rebirth, The Lost Bus, and Sinners, which nothing against The Lost Bus, but how did this get heated for
My
visual
my
effects?
understanding is based off articles I've read and like interviews I've heard. They're pretty much just like, yeah, fire is one of the hardest things to animate, which I get because
There it
sometimes you watch a
is.
movie and you look at someone's fire effects and you're like, "Oh, that looks like garbage," and it completely takes you out just because of one scene. And that whole movie is pretty much Fire the movie more
Yeah,
than it is even the Lost Bus movie.
yep.
And so like I get it, but come on. Uh
I feel like that took Thunderbolt's spot, which honestly I think really deserved it because that actually looked like a really good comic book movie
Yeah.
for
The
once
the
in the
the way
past few
they
years.
used the void to shadow puppet people looked pretty darn good to me. Um, I actually think this is one of the worst nomination slates of the Oscars. There's in my personal, I have two that cross over, which is F1 and then the one that's obviously the winner. I don't it's Avatar. Like duh, it's Avatar. It's so I'm just going to move on. Like we all know this. It's
Yep.
Avatar and if you think it's anything other than Avatar then you might need your head examined. But like I would nominate F1 as well. But like where's the Superman nomination? Where's Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning? Where's Tron Ares? Tron Ares has a lot of problems. You know where it doesn't have a problem? It's visual effects.
It looks amazing.
It looks really good. Um, and like you said, Thunderbolts. But we're doing the Lost Bus. Sinners. I love Sinners. It's my second favorite movie of the year. Praise, heap all the praise on Sinners, but it's not the visual effects that make Sinners. In fact, it's this practical makeup effects and
Yeah.
hairstyling, which it's also nominated for, thankfully. But like
Yep.
that's way more impressive to me. Like how they portray like the gore of the vampires and stuff
How
than
Remick
the
looks at the
visual
very end of
effect.
that movie
Yeah,
is incredible. And that's all practical. They
yeah,
literally put that crap all over him. So
yeah, exactly.
ridiculous. Avatar's winning.
Yep.
Avatar should win. And outside of a Planet of the Apes movie, like I don't think any movie honestly would have any kind of
Yeah,
fight
no,
against
no
Avatar.
movie has a shot here. The category should just be one nomination, Avatar, and then just close it out.
It's a special Oscar this year. It's just
Yeah,
special,
exactly.
special Oscar.
It's like in the 80s when they hadn't fully solidified. There's going to be
Yeah,
an annual visual effects category, but just like every once in a while, we're going to like, hey, here's a special visual effects nominee to Lucasfilm for Star Wars.
yeah. There you go. Next up, we have sound. So we have one Frankenstein, one battle after another, Sinners, and Sirrah. So Heath, what do you have here?
This is one of my first real snub categories. I think you're going to have the same snub as me. My winner based on their nominations is F1. And let me be clear, I'm okay with that. F1 does have great sound design. I'm fine with that. I'm not fully versed on this category because I haven't seen Surat
Yep.
because uh, I'm just going to be blunt. Their rollout for the distribution of this film has been abysmal. Like it just
Yep.
has. If you, there's some screeners that have gone out to some select people, and I believe in Europe it's gotten more play, but in the Americas it's pretty. I mean, it's almost impossible to find this movie. And trust me, I'm searching a lot, and it's nowhere near me. Um, so Surat aside, like one battle, cool. Sinners, cool. Frankenstein, fine, I guess. But F1 is clearly heads and toes above this. But for me, how is Eddington not nominated? More importantly, how is Warfare not nominated? And
I
that would
think
be
people
my
forgot about that. And I
and
don't think A24 campaigned.
no, and that would be my hands down runaway winner for this. I seeing Warfare in theaters, which by the way, I didn't even see it in Dolby. I didn't see it in IMAX. I didn't see it in like a
Well,
really
I did, Heath,
yeah.
and I was literally jumping out of my seat.
Yeah, I saw it in a generic Alamo Drafthouse auditorium. Like just one of their standard auditoriums at an Alamo. And it knocked me out of my chair. Like physically pushed me back into the chair. It was so deafening, especially when they were doing like the jet low altitude flyovers to buzz everyone and startle people. It was deafening, like not in the deafening that you hear people say, "Oh, that was deafening. It was so loud." And like actual deafening,
No,
it hurt my
like
ears. Like there, I could hear a ring afterwards because it put me in the picture that well. It was crazy. I haven't heard sound like design like that in years, and the fact that it was just not even nominated is just egregious.
it's ridiculous. And
Yeah,
yes, that movie scared the shit out of me just from
yeah,
the sound. And I don't think I could ever get Joseph Quinn screaming
yeah,
out of my head because of that movie. Um, I think F1 is a very worthy winner here. I think this is a very interesting year to highlight use of music in movies
yes,
and Sinners. And I have seen Surat because
yay,
this,
you
because
got it.
Neon sent me their plate for my voting for my New Jersey Film Critics Circle. The sound in that's incredible because they have like a desert concert in it and all these different types of things. I would love to see Sinners get this as like a personal pick, but
Hmm.
I'm not going to be mad. And honestly, I think F1, if it's going to win anything, would
Yeah,
deserve to win that because I'm a lot higher on F1 than most people.
same. I like it a lot. I
And
and cars go vroom. And you know what? When cars go vroom, they make real loud noises. And this captures it well.
I made sure that I saw that at a Prime theater, which
I saw it in IMAX. I
whatever
loved it.
Prime is compared to anything
Yeah.
else, but like,
Yeah.
it just because AMC needed to have their own little special. Look, I have Prime theaters. It was crazy. So, okay, so now getting to actual categories where I think Frankenstein's actually going to pick up some wins here. So,
And where
production design.
it deserves
Yep.
it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. We got Frankenstein, we have Hamnet, Marty Supreme, one battle after another, and Sinners. I have a feeling that a lot of these technical categories are a lot of these films just got voted in because they got all the nominations.
Yeah.
And I don't think this is a very good reflective category for production design, to be perfectly honest. And where the hell's Wicked?
Yeah. I wanted to bring up the Wicked thing. So
Yeah.
this is a good point to also bring up because we're going to talk about it later when we get to the new category of this year, which is casting, because I got a bone to pick with that. But
Yep.
this is tangentially related. So I'll bring it up now since you kind of just dipped your toe into it, which is I think the Academy has gotten a lot better in recent years in a lot of ways. I want to be very clear. Wins like I would say probably since Moonlight. The tenor of the Academy has changed. You can
Yep.
feel the younger voices that are in the Academy. Wins like Everything Everywhere All at Once wouldn't have been possible with the Academy 10 years ago.
No.
Um, Barbie getting nominated for Best Picture wouldn't have been possible. Like you can see there are distinct Nora winning even just last year. That would never have happened, you know. And with that said, so again, I want to give them props where they deserve props. But on the other side of things, they're becoming too ubiquitous with their categories, where almost every, even below the line craft categories, are just dominated by best picture nominees. And that's not okay. We're seeing way too many films pick up 8, 10, 12 nominations. And you know what? In the 90s, in the 80s, hell, even in the 2000s a bit, you used to see a lot more films just get like, hey, they got like 4, maybe 5 or
Yeah.
6 nominations. And that was a good, if you got 6 you're having a good night, even if you only win 1 or even none. You like, that was worth applauding. And now it's just like, oh, well, we need these best pictures to really emphasize that they're the best pictures. So they should get a lot of these below the line crafts categories too. And I just disagree inherently. And again, this will tie back to when we get to best casting. But to your point here, like I am one of those people that I really loved Wicked last year. I thought it was a great time. I'm also one of those people that really did not like Wicked for good. I
Yep.
kind of tore into it in my review. I gave it a very thorough, in-depth, lengthy review. I analyzed why I thought it had the problems that it did, especially coming from its adaptation from Broadway. And I put a lot of time into it while also still wanting to give it respect of what it did still excel at, which was costumes, which was sound, which was production design,
Yeah.
which was hair and makeup, because those things were still intrinsically there. And it feels like a lot of people this year were just like, we're not going to nominate Ariana for supporting actress, and we're not going to nominate Cynthia. And the movie kind of is a wet fart overall. So we're just going to blanket and knock it out entirely. And I just think that is a huge disservice to these below the lines craft workers, because I'm sorry, I really like Marty Supreme. It's my favorite movie of the year. I really like One Battle After Another. My fourth favorite of the year. I really like Hamnet. My third favorite of the year. These are all movies I loved. I gave 5 stars to every one of them. I would not put any of them ahead of Wicked for Good when it comes to production design. It is laughable to assume that. And it kind of blows my mind.
Like, literally 4 of these movies probably shouldn't even be there.
Yeah. I can see
Like,
Sinners. Sinners, I think, works for me, but the others probably not.
and it's like this was like Wicked should have been nominated here and should have been nominated in costume and hair style, makeup, stuff like that. And they had an opportunity to put some bold picks in here, like 28 years later. Like the literal Bone Temple
Yeah.
is one of the most interesting production designs out of any movie. And also, like, seriously, there was a Wes Anderson movie. Like
That everyone just
Venetian
forgot about. Yep.
Venetian Scheme existed. And also, to be frank, where's Avatar with this too? Because like this is production design.
Yeah.
All of the world building you do in the Avatar films. This was just such a weird year for like I don't think people focused on enough variety of movies. So at the end of the
Yeah.
day, it's Frankenstein, right?
Yeah. So,
So
long story short, going back to what we were saying, this is where Frankenstein deserves it. In fact, I would even go so far as to say I think Victor's lab and like the huge Medusa sculpture on the wall, that
yeah,
set alone, that set is worthy of the Oscar trophy right there. It was
yep.
intricate. You could see purpose in it. You could see meaning behind it and the structure and why the design was there, what feelings it was trying to evoke. I felt it in those moments, and that's just one set, let alone the whole rest of the movie. So yeah, Frankenstein, again, I wasn't the biggest fan of it, but even I'm not obtuse enough to to stop this where it deserves it. Like, it deserves production design. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, now we get into our music category. So we got everybody's favorite category, original song.
Hmm.
So we got the obligatory Dear Me, Diane Warren, which is this is so smug that it's from a documentary about Diane Warren.
I
Uh,
just oh,
I know.
yeah. I,
I don't even remember the song, to be perfectly frank. And I
yeah,
watched the documentary. Um, Golden from K-pop Demon Hunters. We have I Lied to You from Sinners, Sweet Dreams of Joy from Viva Verde, Um, and then Train Dreams from Train Dreams. So, Keith, what are some of your general thoughts and what are you picking?
Um, I think that the voters, because to be clear how it works for those unaware, the people in each branch, they select the nominees and then everyone can vote on the winner.
Yeah.
So when I say the voters of, I mean the voters in that branch. The voters in the music area for original song and original score, they need a lecturing. They need to sit down and talking to someone needs to put all these people in a lecture hall and someone needs to say, okay, we know about Diane Warren, but have you thought of not? Or Challengers came out last year, and did you even watch the movie? On the same vein, Marty Supreme happened. Are you aware of this? And something needs to be said to these people because this category over the past several years, but the last 2 years especially, has been egregious, like
Yep.
egregiously bad. So much so that last year, if you remember, for original song, they were just like, nah, we're not going to perform any of these live. And you know what they did? They did a James Bond medley instead. Now, James Bond is my favorite franchise of all time. And even I was like, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, it's just, it
And they
was,
know it too this year because they're
yes,
only playing two of the songs.
they're only playing exactly. So it's like you have the opportunity. So here's what I'm going to say is Golden's going to win because it's transcended the movie.
Yeah.
It is now a worldwide phenomenon. It would be insane for it to lose, especially because it's won every single precursor up to this point. Like it's
Yeah.
just gonna win. Would that be my pick? No, my pick of the nominees would be I Lied to You.
Yes,
Um,
me too.
I'm very particular. I actually think this category is very underrated. I think original songs can have some of the most emotional pulls of anything in any movie when done right. But my sticking points are it should be at a critical point in the movie. It should be a move that a moment that actually turns the movie into something else, whether it be by via plot or character development or something like that. And it should be in
In
the
the movie.
movie. I mean, I get it. Sometimes we make some banger credit songs. I love Lady Gaga's Hold My Hand from Top Gun Maverick. It makes me cry. You know what? It's not in the movie. And that held it back for me. I actually think that's a better song than Not To from RRR. But you know what? Not To was in the movie. They did a dope ass dance and it was a critical part of the film. So that was my
Yeah.
vote that year. And so, in that same vein, I would absolutely vote for I Lied to You. That is the moment of the film. It is a like 5 minute oneer where Ryan Coogler takes you on a journey through space and time while like investing and like taking in so much culture and music and euphoria. It's insane to think that any other song was more important to any movie than I Lied to You, and that it left a bigger impact on the viewer in the terms of the movie. Now,
Yep.
again, Golden has transcended that, so I get why it's gonna win,
Yeah.
but I Lied to You deserves to win.
Quick thoughts. One, this could have just been a sinners category.
Yeah,
Two, it could have just been a K-pop Demon Hunters category.
yeah,
There's that many good songs in both of those movies. I 100% agree with your point about it should be in the film. The only one on here that uh, Brain Dreams made me sit through the credits,
yep,
and I got so emotional listening to that song. That was brilliant. And that is like an exception to me because it continued the experience. No, like the fact that there's no estimate of Ann Lee songs, which like what?
preach, brother.
That
So
that movie blew me away when I finally got to watch it because of Independent Spirit Awards screening room. And I'm like, nobody watched this. This is why this didn't get
yeah,
nominated, right? Like,
I even had problems with that movie, but that's just my own picadillo of I have trouble connecting to a film that's overly narrated. And so much of that story is told through narration. It keeps me at arm's length from a film. That's a Heath thing. That's not
yeah,
and I recognize that. I still can see it and be like, oh, Amanda Seyfried's going off the chain here, and this music is amazing. And speaking of production design from the last category, I love the production of this
Yeah.
film. So in mine, if I had to pick them again, I'll play nice to the Academy.
Yeah.
They have a limit now of no more than 2 songs per movie, because there was this once upon a time a film called Enchanted that got 3 songs nominated in one year, and it still didn't win because another movie called Once came out, and that's just one of the greatest songs ever written.
Yeah.
So, but they made a rule after that, no more than 2. Okay, so I'll play by your rules, no more than 2.
Yeah.
From K-pop, honestly, and this is going to be blasphemous to the worldwide phenomenon, I wouldn't even have Golden. I don't even think that's one of the 2 best songs. I would do How It's Done, which is the opening, which I think sets the
Yeah.
tempo for the whole film, and it's just a really fun rap. And then I would do This Is What It Sounds Like, which is the closing song, which has all the singers coming together and unifying and talking about how strong their voice is. And I think that's a beautiful moment. And Sinners, You Keep I Lied to You. And I'd probably do Pale Pale Moon. You could make a case for When the Sun Goes Down, which is towards the end of the movie,
Yeah.
but I really like Pale Pale Moon. And then my 5th one is Worship from Testament of Ann Lee. That song's a bop. Is it just them going la 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 over and over? Yeah. Do I care? No. It's amazing.
would
Do you know how
love-
many times I've listened to that song?
I would love to see them perform any of those songs at the
Have the
Academy
Shakers
Awards.
come on stage and dance. If you had those 5 songs as your nominations, you're damn right you're playing every single one of them on the broadcast. That would be a great lineup. And I would still, by the way, have I Lied to You win.
Yep. Me too. Score. We got Brookskin Fendrix's Begonia. We have Alexandra Desplat for Frankenstein, Max Richter for Hamnet, Donnie Greenwood for One Battle After Another, and Ludwig Göransson for Sinners. What are your thoughts, Heath?
I think they did a pretty good job, at least on this category. Again, not perfect. Marty Supreme is not here, and it absolutely deserves to be here. In fact, I would even say, and I have in my own, F1 has a great score.
Hans Zimmer killed it.
That really gets the energy of the, like, not just the racing moments, which you need, but the momentum from race to race to keep you invested. There's always this really driving metronome like techno force that keeps the film going. And it's just, so I would like those to receive noms, but Hamlet I'm good with, even though I know they reused On the Nature of Daylight with Max Richter at the end. The rest of the score is original, so somehow it still counts, but Dune doesn't, whatever. But
Stupid.
yeah, it's very stupid. But like, I did love the Hamlet score, so I'm good with that. I love the One Battle score. I thought Greenwood was awesome here. It's very
Always
haunting.
is.
He's so good. And then, but inevitably, I am giving a 3rd Oscar to Ludwig Göransson, because the bluegrass of the South in the early 1900s, it's hypnotic. This score, I've listened to the Sinners score more than any other score this year. It's not close. I've probably listened to that album 30 times in total, maybe more. You just lose track because I just constantly have it on while I'm driving around, or if I'm doing some work in the office, it's in the background. It's beautiful. It's moving. It's very evocative of a specific moment in time and style of musicality. And there's so much passion behind it that is lacking in a lot of scores, that it feels like it's dripping with charisma.
Sinners has it for me for sure.
Yep.
And the Metallica influenced vampire themes.
You can hear it. There's Metallica in there. There's Alice in Chains in there. Like, Ludwig's going off. It's great.
He's a generational talent, and this man is going to have so many Oscars by the
provided
time
he stays in good health and he doesn't die of some catastrophic thing, and hopefully there's no controversies around him at some point in time in the future, because apparently we have to care about those all the time these days. But like, if this man can just be a good person and live for the next 30, 40, 50 years, he will surpass John Williams. He might end up being, at the rate he's going, the greatest film composer ever. And that's saying something. Or if he's not as good as, he's at least 1A and 1B. Like, we'll just say, oh, who are the best film composers ever? Well, there's Williams and Goranson, and like everyone else is a tier below.
Well, and you're highlighting some of the best composers today in this category. And
Yeah.
like, I love Alexander Desplat, and I don't even think Frankenstein's his most memorable or
No.
interesting score, but it's still Desplat, and it's still
Yeah.
really well done.
It's a good score. I don't think it's Oscar nom worthy, but I think it's a good
Like,
score. Yeah.
there's probably other ones that I would have put into, like, especially one, definitely. I'm really shocked the Marty Supreme one didn't get
I couldn't
nominated.
believe Marty Supreme wasn't here.
And this is a Shane pick, but is it heavily influenced by Dune? Probably. But that Predator Badlands score
Oh, it's
was
so cool.
so cool.
Yep. Yep. It is
Harry
100%
Wallfish
a
is
Dune
just
ripoff.
like, he's like, I have learned so much from Hans Zimmer. I'm gonna take Dune, but then make Predator noises in the score too. But no, this is going to Sinners for me. Makeup and hairstyling. This is actually one that I really appreciated this year. And for once, there are no fat suits.
Mm-hmm.
So
None
go
of them.
to the
Yeah. Yeah.
go to the Academy. So we got Frankenstein, we have Hokuho, Sinners, The Smashing Machine, and The Ugly Stepsister. So I'll just say
Yeah,
right off the
buddy.
bat, Ugly Stepsister and Hokuho getting nominated here are so cool.
It's so cool.
So cool.
This is what I want. It reminds me of when I make my Oscar picks that I release on Oscar morning every year, where I'm just like, yeah, here's what the Academy did, but here's all of mine, and there's going to be one or two of every category that's like you didn't even think of, or maybe some people didn't even see, but I'm telling you, this deserved a nomination. Um,
Even like The
yeah,
Smashing Machine feels like a
that's the
step
weakest
down
one.
from the rest.
Yeah,
Like they did
but
a
it's
really
still
good
good.
job of
Yeah,
making Dwayne Johnson, you know, look like this man. Um, I'll have to say though, almost laughed in the theater when they announced him weighing in at 240 pounds. And I'm
yeah,
like,
right. Yeah.
what? You
Uh,
can't lie to me. I
Well,
know that's
it's
Dwayne
also
Johnson.
that's one of the problems with that movie is you have The Rock, who's what he's late 40s, early 50s. How old is The Rock? I don't know. And you can see he's clearly older and he's clearly got so much more weight, but he's playing like a mid 20s guy that's supposed to be
Played
like
a man
6 inches
who's
shorter.
6'1" and
Yeah,
240. I'm like, Wayne Johnson's like 6'5" and 290 pounds at least. What
yeah.
are you talking about here? But anyway, that's not the makeup or hair sign. But Heath, what are your thoughts?
So again, I agree. I like this category. I would have probably made some changes, but overall, I'm pretty happy with this. Things I would have liked to have considered would have been 28 years later. I think that deserves
Me
recognition
too.
here. Weapons not being here, I think, is actually kind of ridiculous. And Wicked for Good again. I don't care for the movie, but makeup and hairstyling, that's kind
Literally
of that
green.
movie's. But that's that movie's bread and butter. I don't outside of maybe costumes, um, my winner would be The Ugly Stepsister. I again, most people aren't going to see that because they're not going to be able to seek it out and find it. And then a lot of people are
On
going to,
Shutter.
yeah, and then a lot of people are going to get grossed out by it, understandably so. To be very
And
clear,
they
I get it.
should, because it
Yeah,
is a
if
body horror
body
film.
horror is not your thing, you've
Go
got
watch this movie.
you got like maybe a 5 minute warning or 10 minute warning before this movie's going to wig you out in a bad way. Um, that would be my win. I think the transformation that does, again, not even just makeup, but hairstyling as well. It actually has some really distinct hairstyling choices throughout the film. That would be my winner. But I think the winner will be Sinners. And I'm also okay with that being the winner.
I
It
kind of
again
think
would have.
Frankenstein might pick this one up
Oh,
too.
I'm sorry. I was looking at the wrong category.
Yep.
Yes, I do have Frankenstein as my pick for
I
this one.
think
Yes.
mostly for the
For the creature.
monster. Yeah,
Yeah.
like yeah.
Yeah.
I I would love either Ugly Stepsister or Kokuo to win this. Is like in a different year, Kokua would probably be one of the international nominees because it's Japan's
Hmm.
pick. And this 3 hour epic film about like Japanese theater, the makeup and hairstyling is incredible. And I guess the one thing is like I know it's based off of a bunch of stuff, but like they do an amazing job of bringing that stuff
Yeah.
to life in this film. And also, this is another film that nobody saw.
Yep.
Um, because like it came out in November and
And
then came out in February.
hmm
So all I know is I got a press
and
screening
very
like back in
limited at that.
November.
Yeah.
So like they were pushing it around to press, but one of those, and I think Frankenstein is probably going to win that one too.
Yeah.
So
I did misspeak. Frankenstein, I do think is going to win that one. I think it like we said, the creature, but also they do some interesting stuff with Mia Goth with her playing two different
yeah,
roles to try to make her look different between the and then also Oscar Isaac looks more and more tattered over time. He starts out in the movie looking more young and sprightly and professional, and by the end of
he
the
should
movie, he's
win for those
ragged.
mutton chops.
Yeah, exactly. So like, yeah, it'll go to Frankenstein.
I'd give it for the Wicked just for Jeff Goldblum. I want
Uh,
his aesthetic. Like
yeah,
I want that hair, the facial hair, emerald suit, all of it. I want it all. I want that whole entire thing. There
yeah,
you go. Um, Live action short film. We have Butcher Stain, Friend of Dorothy, Jane Austen period drama, The Singers, and two people exchanging saliva. Um, Winner to weirdest title. It goes to people exchanging saliva. But
yep.
Heath, what are your general thoughts here?
I actually really liked, for the most part, the nominees in this category this year. I thought
Yeah,
they were very good. Three of them in particular, I was just having a ball with, and that's
yeah,
Jane Austen's period drama, The Singers, and Two People Exchanging Saliva. Um,
agreed.
I thought Butcher Stain was a little unfocused, but I appreciated the intent behind it. And A Friend of Dorothy, it's just cute. Like it's not
Yeah,
much to it, but it's cute. It's enjoyable. For that reason, my pick to win that I think it's going to win is going to be Dorothy. Um, Not that I think it's the most challenging. I don't even think it's the best one. In fact, I'd probably rank it third or fourth, or
yeah,
maybe fourth or fifth.
yeah.
Um, but I think it's on Disney Plus and a large part of the world, and I think it's getting a bigger release on Disney Plus, and I think it will just be one of those things where like people can find it. And so and again, it's just generally wholesome and sweet, and sometimes charming stuff like that is simple enough to win. Whereas the other ones are asking more of you. But for me, if I was to choose, I would do Two People Exchanging Saliva. I actually thought that
Me
was a
too.
great film, so much so that I would be down for them taking that and turning it into a feature length film in like 2 years from now.
Me too.
I really loved that. So I, long story short, I'd be happy to be wrong here. I would love for Two People Exchanging Saliva to win, even though I think Friend of Dorothy is going to win.
I would love two people exchanging saliva to win, or even Jane Austen's period drama. I
Yeah,
laughed watching that.
it's hilarious. When they
And
tried to shush the chicken, I really lost it.
and honestly, I think most young men should watch this movie
Yeah.
because like
I put it in my review of this that I was like, they should show this in sex education classes because honestly, it's more informative than most sex ed stuff, and it's way more entertaining and interesting, and it will hold people's attention, and they won't just tune it out.
yeah, I think Friend of Dorothy is very nice, and it also has the Stephen Fry and Miriam Margolyes about it
Yeah,
too. Like it's the most high profile one, and
absolutely.
I think Butcher Stain is the most important.
It's a serious pick.
Yeah,
Yes.
and those two are my least favorite out of the three.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the singers a lot, but
The Singers
mine's
was great.
definitely I
Could
think
have
like
gone with another 20 to 30 minutes of just watching random dudes sing in a
yeah,
bar.
100%. So this is a murderer's row category international feature film.
Yeah.
And I even I'll state my piece after I let you talk, but we got Brazil's The Secret Agent, France's It Was Just an Accident, which side note, it weirds me out so much that so many of these Middle Eastern films wind up being like it's France's film. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's Is it
Well,
though? And
we'll have
I
another one
don't
here
think.
later that's out of Tunisia. That's really not out of Tunisia.
Yeah. So Norway's sentimental value is certainly Norwegian.
Yeah.
Hell. Spain's Surat and Tunisia's the voice of Hind Rajab. But Heath, what are your general thoughts?
Um, it's a pretty good lineup. I would have done a couple things different. Most notably, there's a very big Park Chan Wook sized hole in this category. And not even just this category. I would go so far as to say these Oscars in general, because that hole extends to Best Director and a couple other places like adapted screenplay. That
Editing.
it's almost insulting, honestly.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is. I don't know if there's some past history I'm not aware of, but clearly the Academy of Arts and Sciences has something against Park Chan Wook. There's no other explanation at this point that literally nothing he's ever made has been nominated. And he is clearly, if you watch his work, one of the best directors working today, doing
yep.
some of the most inventive stuff that speaks to our times and tells compelling stories. And it's almost getting to the point of being embarrassing that they refuse to recognize him. Even if they don't want him to win for whatever reason, they're biased against him. I don't know. Just nominate him. Come on. What are we doing? With that said, I'm fine with these nominations. The Secret Agent didn't really work for me. Its story, the structure is very unfocused. It doesn't hold your hand, which I like when films do that, but it almost goes a little bit too far where it just doesn't even explain some of the things that are happening. But I do love the floating leg foot thing, so that's hilarious. It was just an accident is genuinely great. I was blown
Yep.
away by that one, so I loved it. Sentimental value, same thing. Really touched. Actually, an amendment there. I really appreciated this one. I wasn't as touched by this one, so that's why it's holding me back. But I still respect it. It's one of those like I respect the hell out of it. Sarat, as I said earlier, I didn't get to see the voice of Henry Job. This one is the one that I really don't think should be here. Not because I think it's a bad movie, but it feels like a documentary. In not just a little way. Like it feels, frankly, I think it should have been a full on documentary. I think it would have felt more authentic, at least for me, and it would have hit me harder. Versus some people trying to replay parts of conversations that were real while still interjecting the real audio. It was just a weird thing that I couldn't latch onto. So there's all my individual thoughts. But long story short, I think sentimental value is going to win. And if I had my druthers, it would be no other choice that wins, and it wouldn't be close. But I think sentimental value probably wins here.
I No Other Choice is my number two movie of last year. I've watched it three times already,
I think it was my
and
number 6 or 8 somewhere there. Yeah,
every time I watch this movie, I love it even more. And
it's so good.
like, this is just getting dumb
It
at
is
this point. And that movie should have been nominated for like a decent chunk of the Oscars this year. And
best
but
actor, best screenplay, best director, best international, and best picture. Like right there, and those are like the gimmies. Let
yeah,
alone you
the
could maybe stretch
editing.
to like editing, costume. Honestly, like, ugh,
I even think the actors who played his wife is absolutely
yes,
incredible too. So
supporting,
that
great.
supporting there. But no, that would be my easy win. I'm picking like I have sentimental value, and it was just an accident right next to each other for me. And I think sentimental value just squeaking by. Sarat, I appreciated a lot more than I actually liked the movie. And if
Mhm.
I were to take any of them out, it would probably be that. I would honestly probably even take the voice of Hind Rajab out for Kokuko too.
Oh,
There's a
cool.
lot of there's other some really most years there's a lot of really impressive films from you're literally consolidating the whole world
One of my
in your
favorite,
category.
yeah, one of my favorite international films was a romantic comedy called Jane Austen Wrecked My Life out of France. And I understand why it
Love that
wasn't because
movie.
this isn't the 90s anymore where we can get away with nominating 4 weddings and a funeral. Like that era is kind of gone.
Makes me
We don't
sad.
we don't nominate films like this of this genre anymore. But I thought Jane Austen Wrecked My Life was a very moving and
Me
very
too.
interesting meta commentary on modern dating. And I would absolutely have that in here over some of these. So yeah, but it's tough. Like you said, you're trying to fit the whole world into 5 pictures.
Yep. And The Secret Agent, I'm not as high on either. I do have it was 2 hours and 40 minutes. It didn't need to be. Um,
Agreed.
so next up we got film editing. We got F1, Party Supreme, One Battle After Another, Sentimental Value, and Sinners. So Heath, what do you got?
This is one where I actually am, other than sentimental value,
Yep.
again, n- nothing against the editing there. It's just, I don't, the editing is not what stands out in that movie. Let's just put it that way. There's a reason why it has so many performance nominations. That's what that movie's about. But all the other ones, I respect it. Like these are good nominations. I swap out sentimental value for no other choice. And this is a pretty stacked category of editing noms. I think One Battle After Another is going to win. If I had my druthers, I'm probably picking Marty Supreme, but it's really close. And there's a
It
lot of
certainly
people.
had one of the most wild edits
Yeah,
anything. And I'm gonna get on my soapbox for a minute.
get on it, stand.
What really bothers me is that most people think editing is controlling the runtime of a movie.
It's not.
It's the transition between shots, reactionary shots. It's what builds emotion.
It's the
Like
cuts. Yes.
it's the cuts. And there's some really great cuts in some of these movies. And Marty Supreme has a lot
Yeah.
of really interesting cuts throughout this film. And not to keep harping back to it, but no other choice was God, that movie was so well edited.
Yep.
Um, but I would probably go with my pick would be One Battle After Another. And I think one of the driving forces for that is that chase sequence is so well put together and when they choose to cut and how the
Yes.
camera moves. Like something like F1 could easily win this too. With how it puts together the cinematography and the editing and all that kind of stuff for F1's really impressive. Um, but it it reminds me of like a Ford v Ferrari in terms of like there's really slick editing going
Yeah.
on here.
And that won best editing.
Yeah,
In the same vein, you could see F1 winning because of that. The
yeah.
template's there.
But what's interesting is I've soured on Marty Supreme a lot since I watched it. And the more I think about it, but like this is one of those ones where it's just like, no, the editing in this is pretty legit.
Yeah.
And there's some really interesting things going on here. So I would probably still say I would pick One Battle After Another, and it's probably going to win too. Unless, they throw one to F1,
Hmm.
that movie a bone. We'll have to see. Um, Documentary short film. We have All the Empty Rooms, Armed Only with a Camera, The Life and Death of Brent Renaud, Children No More, Were and Are Gone, The Devil is Busy, and Perfectly a Strangeness. Donkeys.
Yeah. Outside of some donkeys, these were really heavy films. This was not an easy watch this year. To me though, it's All the Empty Rooms. I don't think it's really close either. And don't get me wrong, like these are emotional things. We're talking about serious topics. They all got me in their own way, but All the Empty Rooms was just like, oh, this made its point so brilliantly. It let you, not let you, but almost forced you to linger in silence in the awkwardness of these still lifeless rooms and having to come to your own terms on what you're willing to accept in the world. And there is a painful beauty in how that film was constructed and how much empathy it makes you feel. And I not ashamed to admit it, I that made me I was crying almost the whole time. And so to me, it's all the empty rooms. It's by a long shot.
Um, this was a tough choice between that for me and The Devil is Busy. I actually
That's probably my
remember
second favorite one too. Yeah.
I remember watching that because I got a press screening link for that when that came out on HBO.
Hmm.
And it's a fascinating character study of somebody trying to grapple with their own faith and how what they do for a living may or may not conflict with that. And I think it's a really interesting exploration of abortion and religion at this point. And that's a
Especially because it
personal
gives you the
one for me.
mirror of here's someone who works within the clinic
Yep.
and their approach to faith. But then just outside the clinic, you have people that oppose it and their, I don't want to say manipulation. I'm going to try to be very nice, but the way they interpret
Yep.
scripture and faith to be against this kind of action. It was very compelling.
So my personal pick is The Devil is Busy. I think All the Empty Rooms should win. And my bonus fun pick is Give It to the Donkeys. I think that would be the funniest thing is if Perfectly a Strangeness wounds up winning this Oscar.
I would just throw my hands up in the air if that happened. It
Um,
was such a ridiculous film.
I think the only time I've ever legitimately got angry at a documentary category was when my octopus teacher won. It pissed me
Oh, I
off
remember
so
that. Yeah.
much.
Oh,
In and segue, documentary feature film. This is my least favorite category at the Academy Awards because I never think they get this right. And sometimes I think, what the hell are you even watching? Sometimes. And also, I think they lean way too heavily into this means more than it actually is like a great film or not. I'll say though, this is a really interesting category this year. I say that. We have the Alabama Solution, Come See Me in the Good Light, Cutting Through Rocks, Mr. Nobody Against Putin, and The Perfect Neighbor.
this is actually one of my favorite categories because I feel like more so just in the respect to documentary filmmaking, because more and more as time goes by, unfortunately, and how news is being manipulated in the world around us and what we're seeing in global geopolitics and media. I find documentary filmmaking to be one of the final true bastions, true outlets of reliable information. Not that a documentary can't be skewed and have its
Yeah.
biases and perspectives. Of course they can. But when done well, when done right, these can be some of the most moving and informative things out there. I agree. I don't think they always get this right. Although I was happy with, was it last year or 2 years ago, 20 Days uh, of Mariupol, outside of Mariupol,
Yep.
whatever that was, the Ukrainian war film. I actually thought that was really good. I was happy that one.
Side note, did 2,000 meters to Andrevka
Same
count
director.
for this? Because I'm really shocked that didn't get nominated because my God, that movie.
Same director
Um,
as 20 Days in Miracle, and it didn't get nominated, and I don't know why. I've kind of seen that from everyone around the board. Like,
that's
why is
my
that?
top documentary of last year, but continue.
Um, I and other ones I would have included, and again, speaking to sometimes things don't always have to be so serious. They, if you remember Lamb Chop Sing Along, there was a documentary called Sherry and Lamb Chop that came out this year. That was one of the most wholesome and moving docs, just about this beautiful woman and how she brought light to children's entertainment for decades. And she was the precursor for Jim Henson and the Muppets and Daniel Tiger and Mr. Rogers and all of these great things that have come in our world to provide educational entertainment for children. And and maybe I'm a little biased because I watched her shows growing up. I remember them, but I found that documentary to be very moving. And you know what? it wasn't about a whole bunch of dead people, and it wasn't about a war going on. And sometimes it's kind of nice to just have a documentary that fills you with hope.
Won't you be my neighbor, Heath? Won't you be my
Yep.
neighbor? I still am not over that.
Yeah.
Still not over that. Like, and that was my, I think one of my frustrations is, and that's the thing, I love documentaries. And I don't think they ever consider anything that isn't very charged at this
Yes.
point. And that's upsetting because there's all different types of documentaries out there that deserve attention. Like, I love The Mole Agent. I'm so glad that got nominated. And the fact that that lost to My Octopus Teacher still makes me mad. But what's your pick out of
Yeah,
this group?
I like to call all of that the Michael Moore effect. I think ever since Bowling for Columbine and stuff, and just like how incendiary can we make this, it's kind of become now not everyone is as performative as Moore, to be clear, but I think that's gotten us down the path that we're on now. Another doc I wanted to shout out called The White House Effect came out on Netflix about George H.W. Bush's commitment to fighting global warming and helping the environment. And then when he got in office, promptly deciding, nah, no. That's a documentary worth seeking out. Long story
Politics,
short, though,
politics, politics.
I think The Perfect Neighbor is going to win. Um, I think it is exactly what we're talking about. It's incendiary. For better or worse, man, it's a riveting and entertaining film. Like you just can't take your eyes off it. You're just like, how did they keep letting this woman do this? Why weren't the cops more forceful in trying to cite her with something? Why wasn't the landlord brought in and involved, telling her to put warnings on this woman or maybe kick her out, or all these things that you could have done to try to prevent this unnecessary loss of life? And the way that the film portrays it almost feels like a podcast, like murder mystery crime thing, that it's no wonder it's pissing so many people off and it's become so watched on Netflix. And again, just the fact that it's on Netflix and it's easier to find, I fully anticipate The Perfect Neighbor winning. With that said, for me, of these options, I would have The Alabama Solution as the winner. I think that is the more well constructed film. I think it does a much greater job of showing what its problem is, and you could make an argument that that's kind of a bigger problem. I'm sure some people would disagree, but just how it's structured and following these different inmates in these prisons through really compelling footage of all of these smartphones that they contraband smuggled into these prisons. And I just found that to be very effective and moving. So that would be my winner of these nominees. But I think The Perfect Neighbor is going to win.
My pick personally is Come See Me in the Good Light. This movie was so beautiful and so human. And like I casually just watched that one morning when I had a screening link for it. I'm just like, well, this was a great way to start my day. Um,
Just
and
crying on the couch. Yeah.
it's a beautiful film about beautiful human being. And it
Agreed.
really gravitated towards that for sure. We got directing. So we got Chloe
Can we
Zhao
talk
for
about this Academy's website? What is the order they're choosing to do this? It's is it in just doc? Is it alphabetical? I guess it's still just
yes.
well. Come on, we can do better. Anyway, keep going.
So we got directing, we got Chloe Zhao for Hamnet, Josh Safdie for Marty Supreme, Paul Thomas Anderson for One Battle After Another, Joachim Trier for Sentimental Value, and Ryan Coogler for Sinners. What do you got, Heath?
Joachim Trier doesn't deserve to be here. Park Chan Wook deserves to be here. That's nothing against Joachim Trier. I think he's great, but come on, what are we doing? Other than that, I'm actually really good with the other four nominees. I'm not just really good, like happy with that. Those would probably be my picks. I think Safdie, Zhao, PTA, and Kugler are just crushing it, and they deserve to be here. With that said, if Park Chan Wook was here, Park Chan Wook would be my pick still, even above all four of those other magnificent talents. ... He's not here. I think PTA is going to win. I think it's a combination of one, this is one of the greatest films he's ever made in his already illustrious filmography.
Hmm.
I don't think I would personally say it's his best. Um, I would still be in the tank for There Will Be Blood,
Me too.
and maybe even a couple more before this one. But with that said, I still think this is phenomenal work, and it's worth awarding. And then also, you just have the storyline behind it. This is one of the great American auteurs of the last almost 30 years. The man has paid his dues more than most. You could make a solid argument, and I would make the argument that as much as I love the Coens, and I'm glad they finally got their W as well, I still think There Would Be Blood is, for me, a bigger achievement than No Country for Old Men, and I would have rather it won in '07. So he's been waiting to win for a while. Let's award him. Obviously, you run the risk then of, okay, well, what if this is Coogler's magnum opus? This is his masterpiece, and what if he never reaches this height again? I just have to hope that he is the talent that we all hope and think and feel that he is. And just like PTA, who's come out with masterpiece after masterpiece for decades, Coogler will continue to do the same, and we'll have another opportunity for Coogler down the road to win. But for me, I would give it to PTA at this point. He deserves it. I think he's earned it, and I think this is a great film to award him with.
I still think the Coens deserved winning for No
And that's
Country,
totally fair. Yeah.
but it's fascinating that those two films are going to live on forever
Forever.
together as this one-two punch.
Intrinsically, yes. And one of the
And
greatest years in film.
they're two of my favorite films of all time,
Yeah.
period. So, and that's just bad luck, like
Yeah.
really bad
I
luck.
want to be clear. I give both of them a 5 out of 5. Those are 5-star movies for me. They're great. I'm splitting
That
hairs when I say you prefer No Country and I prefer There Will Be Blood, and both of which are valid perspectives.
I had that moment a couple years ago with Banshees, which is one of my favorite films of the last 5 years. And I'm just like, well, I can't be mad at this lost everything to everything everywhere all at once.
Yeah.
And, sometimes it's just how it turns out.
Yeah.
I'm going to have that same feeling this year when Sinners doesn't win a bunch of
Yeah.
Academy Awards
It,
because, like,
this will be another year where we'll probably think of One Battle and Sinners together for forever.
and I would 100% give this to Kugler. I think what he did with Sinners is miraculous. It is absolutely incredible. But damn, PTA brought some shit out of one
Yeah.
battle after another, too. And that's the thing.
Again, like I said earlier to start this all, flip a coin. I'm happy either way. I really am.
And for most of this category, these are all impeccably directed. And the direction stands out. And I think that's the thing about sentimental value. I don't think the directing
No,
stands out for me.
again, it's a performance.
And
It's a
yet
performance
again,
vehicle. Yeah.
Mark Chan Wook wants to be up there for me.
If Park Chan Wook was nominated, that would be my pick.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Costume design. Oddly controversial because one, Avatar Fire and Ash, because people got upset that CGI costumes have to be designed. Um, we have Avatar Fire and Ash, we have Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, and Sinners. Also, feel like this is another one of those categories where they kind of just gave it to a bunch of the picture nominees too. But at least like most of these are period pieces, and
Yeah.
you gotta bring that back to life. But
Yeah.
you're still missing Wicked and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think Frankenstein's going to win here.
Yep.
And of the nominees, I guess that's fine. This one is really deflating to me. This is where I would have Wicked winning. And I think it's kind of, again, it's insulting. Like if you
It was
went
the
and looked at,
cardigan.
yeah, if you if you go and just watch that movie and you're like, oh, these are amazing costumes that clearly would have taken them hours to make by hand. And they probably went through so many different designs on exactly what costumes they should look like. I'm sure, for Glinda's dresses, they probably had 40 different variants of each one of these pink dresses for her to try on before coming to terms with one. And I'm just like, okay, but you didn't even nominate it. And this is where, like, I completely agree with what you said. Avatar, you still had to design them. But if I am going to give a nod one way or the other, okay, one team designed really cool costumes, the other team designed really cool costumes and made them.
Made them.
So I'm going to the handmade craft, and to not have Wicked here, I think, is insulting. So I would personally give it to Wicked, but I think Frankenstein's going to win.
I'd give it to Frankenstein on here. And this is going to sound like I'm joking about this, but I'm not, honestly. I would give it to Wicket literally just for Jeff Goldblum. Like, look at that suit.
Yeah,
Like, and that's literally one character. Literally one character. I honestly would probably take Hamnet and Marty Supreme off of here if I were taking stuff off. But like, this is just one of those categories that didn't seem as interesting this year. And
I
it's
agree.
Frankenstein's going to win. And based off of what's on here, it should, because even just Mia Goth's costumes are freaking ridiculous.
Honestly,
So,
if they want to use the hey, costume design still had to be designed that they used for Avatar, then something like K-pop Demon Hunters should probably be here. If I'm being completely honest, those are way
you're
more intricate.
not wrong.
Those are way more
I
intricately and uniquely designed costumes.
I didn't think about that, but that opens up a can of worms, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. And so, like, that's the risk you take when you're like, okay, Avatar's nominated. Okay, well, now you're bringing animated features into this. And I'm letting you know right now that K-pop Demon Hunters has some of the most unique, diverse, and kick-ass costumes. There's a reason so many kids went as Demon Hunters for Halloween last year. Like, it wasn't just because they liked the movie; it's because they look cool.
Damn, now I'm thinking about all the animated films I would have loved to see nominated for
Mhm.
costume design. I'm just thinking like
There's Beauty and the
Kubo.
Beast costume design nom.
Yep, that too. Crazy.
Nominated for
And
Best Picture, but they didn't give a costume design. The hell is this?
so this is my personal favorite Academy Award, which is cinematography, because I do love me some cinematography. We have
Mm-hmm.
Dan Laufsen for Frankenstein. We have Darius Onji for Marty Supreme. We have Michael Ballman for One Battle After Another. Autumn Gerald Archipel for Sinners, and Adolfo Veloso for Train Dreams. What do you got, Heath?
Where's 28 years later when you need it? I just, I
We
don't
didn't
understand.
string all of these iPhones together for nothing.
I don't understand what we're doing here. It's sometimes it makes perfect sense. Other times I don't get it. Um, it's still overall, I'm okay with these. This is not bad. Um, I think of these, I would be happy with either Sinners or Train Dreams. Flip a coin and I'm content. But if I had to lean 51% to 49%, I think I prefer Train Dreams. I prefer more of uh the Terrence Malick floating poetic cinematography of nature and life and time to the more bold and brash uh in your face that they're doing with Sinners. But again, by like 1% razor margins. They're both gorgeous films. But something about Train Dreams, just watching it, I could probably mute that movie and just watch it visuals only, and it would probably still make me cry. I just think it is one of the most gorgeous movies
Yeah,
I've seen.
that's my pick for sure. And I would like to just point out that Train Dreams is like an hour and 42 minutes.
Oh, it's so great. It's a lost art. It really is. I know we were talking earlier about like editing is the actual editing, the cutting between, but the director's responsible for the runtime. And man, sometimes just having a really svelte hour and a half, hour and 40-minute runtime is just the most beautiful thing in the world.
Beautiful.
And I know for a fact I will go back and watch Train Dreams more often than a lot of the films nominated from this year just because of the runtime and like, yeah, I can get in and out of this less than 2 hours and I'll have a fulfilling experience. Love it.
Looking at this, I honestly think basically any Joseph Kosinski film would be up. It's like
Yeah.
they go all out for all those films
F1
looking.
was on my short list. Yeah.
Yeah, F1 was great. Honestly, Hamnet was gorgeous.
Yeah.
Like that was a beautiful movie, and
I
it
had
was
Hamnet on my
haunting.
list.
Yep.
Chloe Zhao's I kind of think Train Dreams took its spot because it was very much still the ethereal appreciation of nature and
Yeah.
humanity's place within nature. There's a lot of symbiosis there, and the two films feel like two halves of the same coin. So I see why I was like, it was another one that it was a small little budget film, so it was probably never going to make it. I would have loved to have seen like Ephus in here. I thought that was beautiful for how well it shot and lit this lonely ballpark and all these players. Stuff like that I thought was really cool.
And there's some other like Wake Up Dead Man looked
Yeah.
great. Like the use of lighting purposefully in very interesting ways. No Other Choice was
Mm-hmm.
very
I had no other
striking. And
choices on my short. Yep.
um Resurrection, which I'm pretty sure like I think it's just Rowan and I end
Yeah.
up
I
seeing
think
that.
there's like 23 people in the whole world that have seen this movie, I swear.
That movie is absolutely gorgeous, absolutely incredible. Even like Weapons was
Yep.
dynamic and interesting from a cinematography perspective. I would like to point out that I love Dan Lawson, and I would love for someday if he would have gotten recognized for his true masterpiece work with John Wick,
Yeah.
because those movies
Honestly.
look freaking amazing. And it's crazy that he shoots all of Guillermo del Toro's movies. John Wick. I'm interested to see if he's doing Highlander with Chad
Oh, that'd
Stahelski.
be fun.
If he is, my God, I'm even more excited about that. So, new category casting, aka, is this just Best Picture again?
Yeah.
Um, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, The Secret Agent and Sinners. I think the only interesting one on here is I'm surprised The Secret Agent got nominated.
I I I don't like to use the word hate, but I hate how they did this. Like I do, and it's only soured on me more and more since the nominations reveal. You had a chance, and again, this ties back to what I was talking about earlier of categories that are just a clone in some variation of Best Picture. There's 10 Best Picture films. Throw those 10 in a jumble, spin it around, and pull out five of them and plop them in to these categories. That's kind of what it feels like sometimes. And you had the chance to do something very bold and creative and unique with a brand new category where there is no precedent. You can do whatever you want. And instead, you decided to immediately make the precedent of it's just another Best Picture clone. I think it's kind of disgusting, if I'm being completely honest. Now, I want to be clear. I think some of the choices they made would still be the right choices, but probably not for the reasons they chose them. And what I mean by that is they nominated Marty Supreme. I think Marty Supreme does deserve a best casting nomination, but they're probably thinking, oh, yeah, Timothy Chalamet is great. And they brought back Gwyneth Paltrow. Isn't that cool? And you know what? I'm like, yeah, that's great. But they had Tyler, the creator, here for like a rigged tennis match and like a bad taxi ride. They had Penn Jillette from Penn and Teller coming in here to be the creepy farm owner who's just shooting everyone in sight. They had ambition and they did something unique. And the film is littered with casting decisions like that. What's his name from Shark
Shark
Tank?
Tank. Yeah, perfect.
He's a dick. Everyone in the world hates this man. Kevin O'Leary, right?
Yeah.
He's like, I don't want to say objectively, but I'm going to say objectively kind of not a good person. But you know what? Josh Safdie saw and was like, yeah, I think he might be perfect because he embodies exactly the vampiric tendencies of
And he's a
capitalism,
vampire.
and he's a vampire, and it's great. And that's what, or and in the same vein, um, another one that, although it wasn't actually nominated, but is a Best Picture nominee, would be Begonia. Would have loved to have seen Begonia here, not just because of Emma Stone and Jesse Plemons, who are great, but the guy who's on
I
the
know what you're
spectrum.
talking about. Yep.
I forget the actor's name. Brilliant casting. Picking him up, finding him in a crowd out of nowhere. This is his debut. It just owns it. Jesse Plemons is great, but he does not work as well as he does unless he has that guy to bounce off of. And it's
Yep.
stuff like that that I'm like, okay, if you want to do Best Picture nominees, cool, but really make a distinction as to why. Sinners, again, I'm actually good with that one. I think Sinners is like
The
this as well.
ensemble, and that's
The
like
the ensemble's great. But like
incredible.
other ones that should be here, Weapons should be here. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Weapons needs to be here. It's kind of ridiculous that it's not, even beyond Amy Madigan. Every single role here feels so perfectly cast. And the one that I wanted Superman. To why to recognize that Nicholas Hoult comes into audition for Superman, for Clark Kent, and for the casting agent, the casting crew to see, you're not our Superman, but we still want you and we think you could be Lex Luthor. That takes skill. That's what I think the embodiment of this award should be about is, I see the vision of what you're going for, but I think you would be brilliant for something else. How many people have the balls to say that to someone when they're coming in for an audition, let alone for a major superhero blockbuster that's going to be one of the tentpole staples of a major studio like Warner Brothers, and a big name actor like Nicholas Hoult to tell him you're wrong to his face, but we want you for something else. And that's not even counting like and I'm going to pronounce the guy's name wrong, so I'm not even going to bother, but the man who plays Mr. Terrific, or
Yeah.
using Alan Tudyk for the voices of the robot, or Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner, which, if you know anything about the Green Lantern comics, is just inspired casting. You could make the argument that that's just James Gunn picking on his friend because he likes to do that to Nathan Fillion in all of his movies, but it still worked. And and that's not even
So
before you
what
get
if his
into,
friends are talented in good casting decisions?
and that's before that, all of that, and that's before you're even getting into like the big casting of Brosnahan and Corn Sweat,
Who
who
is perfect?
who are just perfect, and they make the movie. Like their chemistry in the scene where they're just doing the fake interview is everything. Like that, and I'm just like, this is where you need best casting. And so, like, obviously, I've gone on a rant here. Clearly, it bothers me, but like,
Well,
I
and
really
this
think they had
is
the opportunity to do something special here, and they royally messed up.
they did something boring.
Yes.
Like I I know it's not even I think the most dynamic of the ensembles, but like just Wake Up Dead Man not
Yeah.
on something like this. Like you shit me? Or like something like Sorry Baby, where this is a small film and you can get like you pull a John Carroll Lynch for
Oh,
like a 5 minute scene
and it's
and
the best scene of the movie.
and that was absolutely incredible. And you have something like even like Plague. How hard is it to get a whole crew of teenage boys that all do an amazing job of
Yeah.
acting? Like
It's impossible.
these types of things. And it isn't even like me pointing out like Wes Anderson just filling his movies with as many people as
Yeah.
possible. Like some of these films, they could have done some more interesting things and they just chose not to.
Yeah. So with all that said, I
Yeah, we
probably,
didn't even pick. So
based off of my proclivities and what I just described, I would probably pick Marty Supreme, because I think there's talent in casting people that are against type, or are small names, or all these things. And Marty Supreme, I think, did that more than anyone else, and really showing how you can make the cast make the movie. With that said, I think Sinners will win, and I'm also okay with that. Like, I would pick Marty, but Sinners will probably take this.
my pick was Sinners because I thought that whole entire ensemble was so perfectly
Yeah.
cast. But you kind of sold me on Marty Supreme because that's what that's what he does
Yeah.
is they do something different. And that's true. Like most of the people in that movie are not actors
Yeah.
or like well-established actors. So I think
Yeah,
Marty Supreme is probably the most interesting.
Kevin O'Leary, Tyler the Creator, Fran Drescher, who has not been doing much in a long time, bringing her out, picking out Emery Cohen, stuff like that. Getting all the NBA players to be in the background for the Harlem Globetrotters. Hell,
Yeah,
getting Abel Ferreira there as the gangster. Like genuinely inspired casting choices that I don't think pretty much anyone else would have the balls to do. But it's those casting choices, and again, Penn Jillette is another big one, where it's
yeah.
like those decisions are kind of what makes the movie great.
Quick side note, I would go back in time and give this the Wolf of Wall Street for the balls
Hell
of
yeah.
Martin Scorsese to cast three other directors in some movie with Spike Jones, John Favreau, and Rob Reiner. Obviously, Rob
Rest in
Reiner's
peace, Rob. Yeah.
like Rob Reiner's like the most I'm an
Oh,
actor out of all them.
when he answers the phone, it's just the best thing ever.
Hello. Oh my
Who
God.
who would be calling us? What the? Yeah, it's so good.
We got animated short films. So we got Butterfly, Forever Green, The Girl Who Cried Pearls, Retirement Plan, and Three Sisters.
Um, these are fine. I There was another one that I saw that I really liked that I thought should have been here, and that was by Cartoon Saloon. It was called Eru. Um, I don't know why that's not here over the Retirement Plan or the Three Sisters in particular. I think Butterfly's going to win, and I'm okay with that. I think it's a moving story and it's beautifully animated in this hybrid between oil and watercolor. It looks really nice. Uh, Personally, for myself, I do The Girl Who Cried Pearls. I
Me
think that
too.
was just much more my style. I thought the story was much more creative in doing this fairy tale based on real events, but then warping and manipulating the perspective of the story to keep the fairy tale elements. And also, I thought the animation being stop motion was just much more impressive. So that's, I think, uh, the higher ceiling pick that I would make. But I think Butterfly is going to win.
I agree. I think The Girl Who Cried Pearls was the one that struck me the most and was most dynamic. I think from like a storytelling and with the stop motion and everything. I actually really liked The Three Sisters. I had a ton of fun with that movie. I know
It
that's
made
pretty
me giggle a
simple.
lot, but I didn't think
Yeah.
it had much to it. I was like, okay, this is it's cute, but like that's all it had going for it, at least
I
for
also
me.
100% agree that I wish that Cartoon Saloon's film got nominated.
Yeah.
That would have been an easy pick for me.
Yeah.
But I'm already love them so
Hmm.
much. But
And it was a cute story with good
yeah,
animation. I was shocked it didn't get nominated.
we got animated feature film. So we have Arco, Elio, K-pop Demon Hunters, Little Amelie, or the Character of Rain, and Zootopia 2.
Where's my Predator Killer of Killers nomination? What are we doing here? This is insulting. This is insulting to Vikings. This is insulting to samurai. This is insulting to World War II fighters.
Is it because it didn't get a theatrical release?
Probably. I don't care.
I still think it was.
Yeah.
You know why Elio's on here? Elio doesn't deserve to be on
No, it
here.
does not
I
deserve to be on here.
even films like I'm trying to remember the name of it. Or like there's a animated documentary called Endless Cookie that's really interesting and different and unique. And there's a bunch of anime that came out. Like they could honestly throw Demon Slayer out there
Chainsaw
because
Man.
that Chainsaw Man movie was
You could have done
wild.
it. I would take the Bad Guys 2 over Elio. I really
Yeah,
would. I
I really enjoyed the bad guys too. I was trying to think, is
Not to
it
turn this into a lament on the fall of Pixar, but I mean, Elio is just the most fine. It exists film, and I know you nominated it because it's Pixar, and that's why it's here,
Yep.
and it doesn't deserve to
So
be.
what's your pick?
It's K-pop Demon Hunters. It's not close. I, I yeah, it's just not close. I don't know what else to say. I actually found this to kind of be a weak year for animation. Arco has its moments, but it didn't really connect with me. Same with Little Amelie. beautiful animation, and it had a couple of moments where it almost got me, but it never quite connected. Elio, we just talked about, and even Zootopia 2, while it was sweet and fun, is very derivative of the first film, just with a more ADHD hyperactive sense of pacing and joke slinging. Um, and my general consensus of animation this year was a lot of 3s and 3.5s, like a lot of fine and maybe even good stuff, but nothing like truly great, except for K-pop. I thought K-pop Demon Hunters was actually great, so that's the easy win for me, and I think it's going to win. I don't think it's close.
I think it's definitely going to win unless there's a some of that momentum coming out of like BAFTAs and stuff for Zootopia.
Yeah.
To be honest, but I loved
Which
Arco.
also, as of recording, Zootopia just crossed Minecraft movie. It is now the number one domestic movie of 2025, which is wild.
They could have like thrown Neva too. Freaking bone here, the $2 billion
Yep.
movie. Like that would have been an interesting one. I was so confused watching that movie, but it was a wild ride. I loved Arco. I think there's something really special about that. And I think in general, I think I like these movies a lot more than you did. Maybe minus Elio. I still thought that was pretty middling. But honestly, they could have made something really interesting and highlighted anime this year
Mhm.
because they had some amazing anime. And that Predator Killer of Killers deserved to be nominated. Like for real.
Straight up, it did. Yeah.
They should have
Certainly
thrown that
better than
in for
Elio at bare minimum.
yep. They should have threw that in theaters for a weekend like K-pop Demon Hunters, so this would qualify.
Yeah.
So, well, we got the acting and best pictures left. So we got actress in a supporting role, Elle Fanning for sentimental value, Inga and Spelt there, Lilias for sentimental value, Amy Madigan for weapons, Wumi Osaku for sinners, and Tiana Taylor for one battle after another.
I love these nominees. These are exactly who I had, except for one, which is, and no offense to Elle Fanning, I love you. You did a great job. Why is Glenn Close not here from Wake Up Dead Man? I don't get it. Again, the complete
She
shutout
still
of Wake
hasn't
Up
won
Dead.
an Oscar, so like that feels like it would have should have just been like give her a nomination.
Yeah, at bare minimum, give her a nomination. It wouldn't be my win pick, but like, just what are we doing here? Again, for them to completely snub Wake Up Dead Man, I think is insulting. Um, my win is Amy Madigan. I thought she was just great. I She was terrifying. She was hilarious. She was awkward and uncomfortable. She was frail. She was imposing. And she did all this while looking like a literal clown. Like it's so hard to take her seriously, but at the same time, she's one of the most terrifying things you can see in film. And the way they use her in jump scares and the flashback sequences and all that, she does such a great job. Even the way she like delightfully elevates her voice, and it's so cartoonish and playful, but creepy at the same time. She just perfectly nailed it. I think this would be a great career win as well. And it just be one of those really unique roles, like Heath Ledger winning for the Joker, where it's just like, yeah, just let someone weird win for being a weird effed up villain. And sometimes that's cool. Um, Outside of that, if it wasn't Amy, I'd be fine with Teyana Taylor, who I think is probably gonna win. I think that's gonna be the winner at the Academy Awards is Teyana, and I'd be fine with that. I loved her in what was the movie? It was like a year or two ago, 1,000 something. What's the
Yep.
name of it? I
I'm trying
forget
to
the
remember
title, but the
it.
thousand
He was
that
amazing in that.
the word thousand was in the title, and she was like a mom in that. And she was amazing. And ever since then, I was just like, oh my God, I need to see everything she does. And she's incredible. So I think she's going to win, and I'm completely happy if she does win. But I really, really want this to go to Amy Madigan.
Weapon should have been nominated for casting just for her.
Yeah.
Like, what an inspired bit of casting. Because like I know her as the wife from Field of Dreams.
That's where I would think most people know her.
Yeah.
And you even have to be either a hardcore baseball fan who seeks out baseball movies, or of a certain age, I would say, because that movie's been out for nearly 40 years.
Yep.
And I don't know how many people even know of that. The last time I saw her was she was in that movie that came out during the pandemic called The Hunt, where it was a whole bunch of like liberals hunting Republicans for sport, and she was one of the liberals that was faking and working at a gas station, if you remember.
Yep.
And to just to see the transition of this is the mom and the wife from Field of Dreams that I remember watching that movie all the time as a kid to now this as Aunt Gladys. It's just wild.
Or as Psycho Clown Witch. It's kind
Yep.
of crazy. My personal pick is Wumi Mosaku.
I'd be
She
fine with that too,
I think she's
honestly.
the heart and soul of Sinners, and she has presence and she's sexy. Like that scene
Hmm.
when she reconnects with Michael B. Jordan, I'm like, damn.
Yep.
Also, Sinners was a freaking horny movie.
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
crazy.
Unabashedly so. It was great. We need more of that.
But like I think it would be amazing for Amy Madigan to win. I think they're perfectly happy that the Sentimental Value crew got nominated, to be
Hmm.
honest. And like I mentioned, I think the wife from No Other Choice would have been a very interesting choice here as well. But I think at the end of the day, I think they might pull the trigger and Amy Madigan wins. And I think that's going to be one of the
I would
most
be
fun.
thrilled. I would be
Yeah.
so happy.
But Tiana Taylor needs to continue to be PTA's hype man.
Yep.
God. Actress in a leading role, we have Jessie Buckley for Hamnet. We have Rose Byrne for If I Had Legs, I'd Pick You. Hudson for Song Sung Blue. Renat Reinsev for Sentimental Value. And Emma Stone for Begonia.
Again, I'm pretty good with these. I even liked Kate Hudson in Songs on Blue, even though a lot of people are poo-pooing that. I wouldn't have nominated it. I think there are just better performances this year, but I think she's great in there, to be clear.
She
Um,
is.
Amanda Seyfried should be here for Testament of Anne Lee. And I'll go
Yeah.
one step further. The bigger snub to me is Sally Hawkins from Bring Her Back should be here. I thought she was
If they
incredible.
already nominated like three horror films, they couldn't
I
get
I
another one in
I
there.
don't care. Yeah, sometimes it reminds you of the Hereditary situation with Tony Collette, and you're just like, oh, we're just not rewarding these performances when we should be. Um, with all that said, it's Jessie Buckley. It's always been Jessie Buckley. It always was going to be Jessie Buckley. She's won every precursor pretty much since that movie came out. It was anointed like, oh, it's Jessie. Jessie just wins. And I've seen nothing to change that. I've watched every other nominee. I've seen a lot of other films too. Even if Sally Hawkins or and Amanda Seyfried were here, like I would want, I would still vote for Jessie Buckley because she's incredible.
I have been a fan of Jessie Buckley since I saw her in the movie Beast with Johnny Flynn that came out like
Oh yeah.
2017 and Wild Rose. I've been so hyped on the Jessie Buckley train. She's one of my favorite actors. And it's not because I absolutely love Irish actors. That's only a very specific and weird pattern that I have. But she's incredible. And
Yeah.
God, one, pregnancy scene. Two, that grieving scene. I'm just like, the screams. Those Jessie Buckley
The
screams.
pregnancy scene, the I lost my child scene, and then you could make an argument the most impactful scene is the scene at the Globe to end
Yep.
the movie where I was a baby. I was just crying, just sitting there in my seat, crying and crying and crying. It's so powerful, and it's all because of her.
She's incredible.
Okay,
And
90% her, 10% a score that we've
fair.
seen we've seen in Arrival and we've seen in Shutter Island, and then that's fine. But yeah, it did its magic again.
I think this is a really strong category. And like Emma Stone's just that good at this point where she gives some of the most interesting, weird performances. But
Hmm.
no, Amanda Seyfried, especially after I watched Testament of Anne Lee, I'm like, holy shit, how'd she not? nominated for this, but nobody saw it, so that's
Yeah,
probably why. Well, we got the actors. Um, this is such an interesting supporting actor
this is maybe the
category
most interesting race of the night in some ways, and I'll
because
explain
different
why in a
people
second.
have won at each of these award shows, right?
Yeah.
So
Well,
we got Benicio del Toro for One Battle After Another, Jacob Elordi for Frankenstein, Delroy Lindo for Sinners, Sean Penn for One Battle After Another, and Stellan Skarsgård for Sentimental Value. What do we got?
see, the interesting thing about this is I could see it every one of these winning. There is a timeline where every single one of them walks away with the gold. And where it gets more interesting is when you start to analyze, well, this is, maybe the one battle votes cancel each other out. So like Sean Penn and Benicio, neither of them gets it because people are voting for both and there's just not enough. And then, okay, well, then you're looking at the other three, and maybe it's Delroy's turn, even though this is maybe not his greatest performance. He's done better stuff with Spike Lee. He probably should have gotten it for the Five Bloods several years back, and he
Yeah.
was snubbed then. But maybe this is our last chance, so maybe we give it to him. But then you're like, oh, Jacob Elordi, he was such a like physically imposing visceral force, but he's still young. Does he have more time? So maybe don't do that. And then Stellan is also kind of one of those where he's been around for decades. This might be our only shot. So I could see this going anyway, and that's before you even consider William H. Macy from Train Dreams, Charles Heath from The Ballad of Wallace Island,
Yeah.
Miles Catton from Sinners, um, and one of a couple of my personal favorites, Nicholas Holt from Superman. Sorry, I genuinely think he is that good as Lex Luthor. And I also, in what is maybe the most minor role in the movie, but I thought was really good, loved Billy Crudup and Jay Kelly. Thought he was tremendous in his one scene.
That
There's a
man's
lot of
great.
there was a lot of great supporting roles this year. I think it's going to go to Stellan Skarsgård. That's my guess right now. I do think the one battle votes will cancel each other out enough. I don't think people are going to go Jacob because he's still too young. And I don't think people think, oh, he's ready for his Oscar yet. And then it kind of comes down to Delroy and Stellan. And I think people will just lean Stellan because I think that role has more meat on the bone. There's more for Stellan to do. And I think that people will want to reward that effort and that work more. And while that sucks for Delroy, because I would love for him to get an Oscar at some point, hopefully he can team up with Spike again and get another crack at it. But so I'm going to guess Stellan. With that said, I would actually have Sean Penn. I think what Sean Penn is doing in one battle is insane. Is he kind of just dialing it up to 11 and just being a caricature at points? You could make that argument and I'll entertain it. That's kind of fair. But also, that's kind of the point. And I think that Sean Penn is embodying chaos, like actual physical chaos in human form. And I think that's what PTA is asking of him. And just the way he reacts to Teyana Taylor right from the beginning when he gets the erection and doesn't know what to do with himself, it's stuff like that juxtaposed about him just trying to impress all these white supremacists at his Christmas club and then trying to be assertive and taking over a town and completely floundering and all these things where I'm just like, I think he's doing the most and I would love to see him win, but I think it goes to Stellan.
So rewind real quick. I wanted to throw out a quick shout out to Una Chaplin for Avatar.
Yeah.
Because my God,
Great.
I understand what Stephen Lang was feeling
Yep.
in that hut because my God, that woman is alluring through all the blue CGI lady.
Not
Um
to give too much away, but I've already made my picks for my Oscar What If article for 2025.
yep,
And when it comes to voiceover and motion capture performance, let's just say that that category is already decided.
yep, 100%. For supporting some of the ones that stood out to me, Ray Fiennes for 28 years later.
Yeah.
Incredible. And Best Actor 2026
Dude, I am
for
going to
Bone
be
Temple.
writing that campaign hard. I want a nomination for Bone Temple. I swear to God. He's so good.
So good. And what was the other one that I wanted to point out? Um, what the hell was it? Am I blanking? Oh, Daniel Craig for Wake Up Dead Man. This man
Yeah,
doesn't even show up 45 minutes into the movie,
he is the
and
supporting role in that
he
one.
is. And like Josh O'Connor is amazing, but like character work. That's a fun thing about supporting categories is you can highlight character work. And that's why I think Sean Penn's so interesting because it's all character work. The
Hmm.
comb, the hair, the she raped me in reverse.
Yeah.
Um, it's just like the full
Stupid
commitment,
line.
the walk, everything, all the character work. This is so crazy because when that movie came out, he was the front runner for this category.
Yeah.
People were like, Sean Penn's going to win this. And I'm so happy that the internet has gotten on Benicio del Toro's side because Sensei Sergio
Sensei. I
is,
love him.
he just shows up and steals this movie like few small beers.
Yeah.
Just the whole entire character work there. I'm just gonna say it. The creature's the dual lead of Frankenstein. Let's not pretend that he doesn't have like half the movie from his perspective.
Yeah.
So I think that's more BS category fraud. And I think if Paul Mescal was in this category too, also category fraud because it's about the both of them.
Yep.
But whatever. Um, Category fraud's gonna happen because it's a bunch of bullshit. For what
It's never
they
going away.
no. My personal pick is Delroy Lindo. I would love for him to win.
It'd be
He,
so fun.
he is so funny, but then that story he tells in that bar
Yes.
is powerful. And he's just such a great presence. And even in a like I would have loved to see Jack O'Connell thrown in here as
That
Remick.
would have been great.
He should have been nominated just for his
Next
dance.
year. Him and Ray. Let's do it.
Oh my God. Oh my God. This is a strong category, but I think Sean Penn might pull this one out, to be honest.
Yep.
But no, I would not be shocked if Stellan Skarsgård winds up winning this category.
I'm pretty much happy regardless of who wins. I don't want Jacob Elordi to win. Not that I don't like the performance, but I just don't think it's at the level of the others. But if any of the other four win, I'm kind of having a good time.
You too. And best actor. We got Timothy Chalamet
Yeah.
for Marty Supreme. We got Leonardo DiCaprio for One Battle After Another, Ethan Hawke for Blue Moon, Michael A. N. B. Jordan for Sinners, and Wagner Mora for The Secret Agent. And who you got?
I actually do have Timothy for this one. I think it's time. I say that like he's still not a kid. In the grand scheme of
And as a
things,
child,
I know. In the grand
like
thing
the
is,
fact that I'm like 4 years older than him.
yeah,
Um,
I'm X amount of years older than him. We're not going to get into it, but I, I I know that he still has a lot more time in Hollywood. He has a lot more to go, and I'm sure he's going to probably win another one. And you could even make the argument of, well, it took us a lot longer to anoint Leonardo, and we still haven't even given him his second one, and we're already going to say that this guy's equal to Leo. Or I've heard those arguments and seen those articles. I think that's kind of ridiculous. I think this is the best performance of the year, at least for me. Um, I would be fine with Leo actually still even winning. I think he does a great job in one battle. I think Ethan Hawke would be a really fun, cool win.
yeah,
Uh, I thought he was great. Michael B. Jordan and A. Jordan were both phenomenal here. Um, and I'd love that as well. Like I'd be happy with this kind of regardless. Wagner Mora, again, this is just a symptom of I'm not as high on the secret agent. I think he does a good
me
job. I want to be
neither.
very clear. But I don't think he's asked to do as much as everyone else. I don't think he's challenged enough relative to everyone else.
I don't know if it was because his performance is so subtle, but like to be perfectly honest, it didn't stand out to
No.
me compared to some of these other performances. And I would have loved to see Byung Hun Lee from No Other
Yes,
Choice puppet in here. Oh my God. I
I
would
would
have loved
have
that.
uh I would have him in here. Again, you could make the argument at this point for lead Paul Mescal
Yep.
probably being here. I would make the argument for Joaquin Phoenix and Eddington being in here.
He
Um
was great too. Josh
yeah,
O'Connor for Wake
I-
Up Dead Man was
it's
so
Josh
good.
O'Connor. Jesse Plemons is actually the biggest snub for me, where I'm just like, I loved Emma Stone. I thought she was terrific, and I think she did deserve her nomination. I think Jesse's even better than Emma. I don't think this movie works if Jesse is not doing what he's doing, and I it kind of shocks me that he wasn't nominated. Um, but even still, with all that said, yeah, I'm picking Timmy this time. I think it's going to happen.
The last one for me is just a shout out to Joel Edgerton for Train Dreams.
Yeah, he was
Like
great too.
he was
Absolutely.
even great in supporting in The Plague. Honestly, he had a really good year. For me, honestly, this is a no-brainer for me, and it's Michael B. Jordan. And like
Totally fair.
it- there's some heavy hitters in this category. And honestly, I wouldn't be upset if Ethan Hawke finally gets that recognition too, because I thought he was fantastic in Blue Moon, and I think he elevated a lot of that move.
He
Like the
humanized
cast,
a
I
very
think,
annoying character, which is
yeah,
hard to do,
yep,
frankly.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And Leah was, and this is the issue because like One Battle After Another is not a comedy.
No.
Let's make that clear because I don't
It
think
has
the
a
goal
lot of
was,
comedy in it, but it's
yeah.
not a comedy. I would say it's an action thriller first.
But Leo gives a comedic performance
Yes.
most of the runtime. And I just don't think that the Academy appreciates just how hard comedy is.
They never have. They
No.
absolutely never have.
And he's incredible,
Mhm.
like absolutely hilarious. But like, I'm not going to be upset if Timothy Chalamet wins. Um, the only way that I want it to happen, though, is it has to be Adam Sandler to give it to him or come up to announce him.
That'd be funny.
It'd be hilarious. That'd be a very unserious moment for the Oscars, but I think they need to be a little unserious sometimes. And we made it to Best Picture. We got Begonia, F1, Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, The Secret Agent, Sentimental Value, Sinners, and Train Dreams. So I guess first off, are there any here that you just feel like should not be here?
Frankenstein. I know I'm more down on it than you. Um, I just have a real problem with how the story was handled. And I also think Oscar Isaac was a bit miscast. And I know I'm not the only one that thinks that. I've seen that sentiment a lot. And when he's half your movie, well, that kind of brings things down. I also don't think, and I've seen it twice, to be clear, this isn't like, oh, I didn't like it, and then I'm never, I'm going to swear it off and never try it again. No, I went back and I watched it again, tried to give it another shot because I love this Frankenstein story. So I really wanted to like it, and I love Guillermo. Um, but also like the Christoph Waltz stuff, you could have cut that out entirely. He adds nothing to the film other than he's the financier of Victor's program. Well, you could have just said that Victor had the money the whole time. Like he comes from a wealthy family. Why didn't he in
Yeah.
the first? Like it's just so many weird story decisions. And then again, for me, Oscar doesn't work, and that's half your movie. So I don't think Frankenstein should be here over something like Weapons, over something like No Other Choice.
Yeah.
Uh, I think that's kind of ridiculous. I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, F1 doesn't deserve to be here. I'm like, no, I actually think it does. I think there's merit in having a craft film nominated for Best Picture because craft people are a big part of making movies and they vote on it too. And when you're up for best sound and best visual effects and best film editing, and you did all the incredible things that they did, and you could make an argument that they could have been up for best cinematography or best score, those people are voting on these things too.
Yeah.
And is it kind of an ultimate Sunday afternoon TNT dad movie. Yeah. Do I
Yeah,
care? No. I had a great time. I've watched it 4 times already. I find it very entertaining in the same vein that Kaczynski did with Top Gun Maverick. So I like that pick. The real standout for me that I feel doesn't belong is Frankenstein. I could also say The Secret Agent. Again, not a slight to it. I think it's a good film. I just don't think it's best picture worthy over, again, I would say something like Weapons or No Other Choice. It's not close to me which one should be here.
I would have loved to see Sorry Baby get coded
That would have been so cool.
and slip on in there. That would have been so amazing. And not to be a dead horse, but like, come on, where's Wake Up Dead Man?
Yeah.
Like, come on.
In my 10, Wake Up Dead Man is there.
And I think the only like I would sub out Secret Agent for No Other Choice. I don't like I don't think Begonia's quite a best picture nominee, but that how I'm in for anything that Yorgos Lanthimos does.
Mhm.
And that movie is so unhinged and crazy. And so interesting. Honestly, I at one point thought we could have gotten upwards of 5 international nominees out of this
It felt like it
because,
was going that direction for a time.
but then Begonia, F1, and Train Dreams, I feel like kind of swooped on in there and kind of shifted some of that for sure. Because let's be real, this is a 4 horse race. We knew that 4 of these movies were going to be here. And it was Marty Supreme, Hamnet, One Battle After Another, and Sinners.
Yep.
Like I feel like
We
those,
knew it was those 4 by November.
yeah,
And
like
that
that was pretty clear.
yeah. And for someone like me, where those were not in that same order, but those are my favorite 4 movies of the year, I'm kind of having a good time. Like, there's movies I want to win, there's movies I think should win, there's movies that I think should win within this nominee set. Um, and I'm kind of going to be happy no matter what, I think, because it's as much as I don't think Frankenstein deserves to be there. I also know it has absolutely no freaking shot of winning this. Like, there's just no chance.
No,
So let's cards on the table. We all know what's happening here. It's either going to be One Battle After Another, or it's going to be Sinners. Hamnet and Marty Supreme have fallen off, and that's fine. I say that as even Marty Supreme is my favorite film of the year. I'm fine with that, because you know what my second favorite film of the year is? Sinners. You know what my fourth favorite film of the year was? One Battle After Another. So, like, I'm happy no matter what. I do think that the Academy is going to pick One Battle After Another. Again, I think they're just going to be like, it's PTA's time. We're giving it to them. I Between those though, I would prefer Sinners. Uh, it, Again, the only thing I would want over Sinners is Marty Supreme, and I know that's not happening. So I want Sinners. I don't think it's going to win. I think it's going to be One Battle, but again, I'm okay with that as well. But it would be so cool if Sinners won.
I think One Battle's gonna win. And for me, Sinners is the easy pick. Like, this is gonna be a generational film.
Yeah. We're
Like
going to be
this is
talking
something
about this for decades.
it's the way that it elevates horror to a place and genre films that because if you really think about how many best picture winners in the past in like this century have been like hard genre films. And you have Lord of the Rings, you have Shape of Water, stuff like that. But like this is something special.
Hmm.
And what this does with music and culture, and so much is said about what One Battle After Another has to say, but Sinners has just as much to say. It's just not as overtly political in the same kind of way. Like it's not directly honing in on things that are literally happening right now. Because like the whole immigration element of One Battle After Another is so like now and
Yeah.
present that I think it's getting a lot of that attention. But the way that Sinners navigates race relations and oppression and all of these things and does it in a vampire movie is so unique and creative. And it's just miraculously put together. I When I got to see my press screening in IMAX for Sinners, that was one of the most special theatrical moments that I've had in a long time. And I would love for Sinners to win a lot, and it's probably not going to. It'll
Yeah.
get a handful of key ones, and it'll be well deserved. But I think
It
it's one
it
battle
might
after
walk
another.
away with just 2 Oscars of its 16 nominations. It might just walk away with screenplay and score.
Yep,
Like, there's a very real because those are probably the only ones I would say are locks for Sinners,
yep.
and I want people to be prepared for as much as we love Sinners, and it's been a cultural revelation, and I agree. I think it's a generational film that we will talk about and study in the language of cinema for decades. It'll be conversed with like The Godfather, like Citizen Kane. Like that is its destiny. I truly believe that. And it might just walk away with like 2 Oscars. And it might be one of those things that like I look back 15, 16 years ago at something like The Social Network, where The King's Speech is a good movie. I have no
Yeah.
problem with it. But you look back and you're like, man, what the hell were we doing? What were we actually doing? This is a generational film that speaks to technology in the era and like and how our entire human experience has changed. And we went with a movie about a guy who has a speech impediment. And I'm just and I do fear that as much as I love One Battle, and I do, and as much as a lot of people really love PTA's work here, you almost wonder if the legacy is such that 10 years from now, 15 years from now, we might be saying, man, we really messed up. Even though One Battle is so great, this should have been Sinners.
Be interesting to see if it's that kind of conversation or it's an '07 conversation where
Yeah.
it's just like
Where it's
these
just
two
like they're both
films.
masterpieces, and some people prefer One Battle and some prefer Sinners. Yep.
It's
I
very
would prefer
interesting.
that just for the reputation of both films. I would prefer we get that result.
It'll be interesting, and the Oscars are coming up quicker because we're recording this. This is like February 25th, so we're almost done February. We only have a couple more weeks for the Oscars, and it's exciting times for folks like us that love this time of year. But
Yep.
Heath, thank you as always for coming on and doing this little show with me.
Thanks for having me, Shane. I appreciate it.
And thank all of you out there for always tuning in and supporting your Wasteland Reviewer.